Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news this noon, a doctor and a pilot are being treated for injuries after a small plane associated with UNC Health crashed at RDU International Airport. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. We've been following this story since it broke shortly after 10 o'clock this morning. We have team coverage for you with crews on the ground at the airport and Sky 5 up in the air.
First, now, here is the indication of a problem that was happening. Take a listen.
Ops 1, Airport 3. Go ahead, Ops 1. At the gate 15, we do have an aircraft down with damage.
That's on the runway there near Terminal 1. WRAL Sean Gallagher is talking with passengers about the impact this has had on their travels. But we begin with Monica Casey with what she's learned about the crash. Monica.
Yeah, Renee, we have moved here to the top of the premier parking garage at RDU. Police told us they would be shutting down the area where
we continue our team coverage of the UNC Health plane that crashed at RDU International Airport. Right about 2 hours ago, the debris still there at the airfield near Terminal 1. Many flights have been delayed, but now travel is picking back up once again as we also await a news conference from RDU officials that will be taking place any minute now. And of course, we will bring that to you as soon as that happens.
We have that live look from Sky 5. We have crews on the ground out at the airport. We also have you covered from the WRAL Live Center. Michelle McConaughey there with an update. Michelle.
Yeah, flight delays are climbing. I know things are starting to get back on track here. Airspace is open. Planes are taking off from Terminal 2. But I keep refreshing FlightAware. It sits at now 70 delays, no cancellations. But we were just on the air with you minutes ago, and I was saying that there were 65 delays. So climbing just a little bit there. I know that they are working as fast as they can to get all of these planes up in the air and out. The airspace, again, reopened. But I do want to show you, we also have the FlightAware path of that plane taking off from Wilmington International Airport. You can see it kind of go up north here and then kind of veer off left toward RDU. This green here, that indicates some rain on the map. And when these sorts of things happen, you think, you know, what could have possibly caused this plane to go down? Weather, always one of those questions that we ask, but it doesn't seem to be the case because the rain was just north of RDU. So again, this is a look at the flight path of that plane taking off from Wilmington, landing at RDU. It only went up about 10,000 feet and traveled about 150 miles. We're going to stay on top of these flight delays and cancellations at RDU for you. Again, right now they sit at 70 delays.
Michelle, thanks. And that plane was carrying 2 people, a pilot and a doctor with UNC Health. We're working to find out how they're doing. We do know that they were taken to a hospital earlier this morning. 150
miles travel would seemingly get you from Wilmington to RDU, especially as the crow flies with that. Monica Casey is out at RDU International Airport. Monica, I know you had to move and get up on top of the premier parking there to give yourself a better view and a place to tell us what's happening out there.
Yeah, Jeff, we have a bit of a different vantage point than we had earlier. If you take a look here behind me, we can see the remnants of that plane still over here in the green grassy space at this runway. It's near Terminal 1, significantly closer to Terminal 1, and RDU says this runway is still closed at this time. We are still seeing a police presence over here on the runway. When we arrived here about an hour and a half ago, there were 3 fire trucks and EMS. Those are all gone now. We're just seeing airport police over here on this side now. Now, if you come across over here, you can see obviously a lot of cars parked in the lots over here. This is a busy day at RDU. Premier parking is actually full. But if you come all the way over here to the runway by Terminal 2, right this second, we're not seeing a plane land or take off, but we've seen quite a few moving through this area over here in the last 15 minutes. Planes coming and going as things start to get back to normal over on this side of the airport. You can see a small plane coming down the runway over there right now. We did speak with an RDU employee about all of this over back by the plane crash site near Terminal 1. He tells us while he didn't see or hear anything, he realized something was wrong when flights they were waiting for kept getting delayed, and then they saw the law enforcement enforcement and first responder presence out on the runway. He was pretty shaken up. He's worked here for just a couple of months and says he's never seen anything like this. So it's certainly a staggering sight we're still seeing over here on the runway. There are fewer police cars than we have seen, so things are starting to clear up over here, but obviously still a lot of work to do to get things back running and moving over on this side of the airport.
All right, Monica Casey live out there. RDU International Airport, very near Terminal 1 right there, where you can get a full view of what that crash looked like there. Over Terminal 2, we're going to take you there in just a second. We want to show you where a news conference is about to happen. RDU International Airport Authority will be meeting any moment. They'll be coming into that room right there with some of the supporting entities that have helped in some of this recovery, as well as also the transport, getting those folks to the hospital, just responding to this emergency there. So we're going to get a little more insight with a live news conference that we'll take you to as soon as they come in the room.
Meanwhile, RDU Airport trying to get back on track with its flights after that plane crash. A lot of passengers wondering when their flight will take off. But then Sean Gallagher is in Terminal 2 talking with those folks. I'm sure when you explained the reason for the delays, most folks were very understanding about what happened.
Yeah, absolutely, Renee. You know, when people see delays for their flight, they're kind of expected. You might think it's a mechanical issue or, you know, something with the weather. But when they found out that this was because of a plane crash, everybody's mood changed immediately. It kind of made them think about their own mortality a little bit and think about the perspective that this provides. But just like Monica could see over there, over by Terminal 1, things are getting back to normal here at Terminal 2. You can take a look here behind me at the TSA line. It's completely clear. I mean, I would love to be coming through the airport if this is what I saw here, that it probably could get through in, you know, no more than 5 or 10 minutes. But we have seen a handful of people starting to filter out of the airport here, the ones who are arriving back at RDU. Haven't had a chance to talk to any of them yet to understand if maybe they were a part of one of those flights that were diverted or maybe had to circle or couldn't land in here yet. So we'll definitely make sure we talk to them as well. But as far as it looks right now, things are pretty much back to normal here at Terminal 2. I know that a lot of the delays over there, they were about maybe an hour and a half from when they should have taken off, but still a lot of yellow on that board that I can see on the flights going out and the flights coming in as well.
And it's worth noting a lot of yellows. They were all delays that we've seen, no cancellations. So RDU really trying to get back on track and get those flights into the air once again. Sean Gallagher, live from RDU. Thank you.
And ramped up to 70 flight delays
at its
there.
peak. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, we saw Michelle McConaughey in Livestorm was showing us that weather to our north. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. We get a look at it on radar here.
Yeah, so this does not initially appear to be a weather-related incident. I have been tracking this cold front all morning, but this is not a typical cold front that we see in April, where we have a lot of strong wind, a lot of heavy rain, the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms. This is just a line of rain. It's fairly moisture-starved, and we haven't seen a lot of strong wind along with it. Let's zoom in. We're seeing just a little patchy light rain along and north of I-85, back over toward Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and around Roanoke Rapids, stretching back along I-40 and back towards Charlotte. But it's just a fairly narrow band of rain. It's moved through Roxborough, headed down toward Burlington, down around Hillsborough, headed toward Durham eventually, and eventually crossing I-85 and heading down to the south. We'll move it back over past South Hill, getting ready to see some of that rain moving into Roanoke Rapids. But again, it's a slow moving line, but it doesn't have a lot of moisture along with it. Here's a look at Futurecast. Right now, we're seeing the rain from the Triangle area northward gradually as we head through the afternoon. Look how broken this line is. There's just not a lot of moisture here, but some rain in Rocky Mount and Wilson at around 3 or 4 o'clock. And then here in Lee County down towards Southern Pines, Fayetteville, Clinton, Goldsboro around 5. Most likely the rain will be over for our evening commute, and the front comes through and clears things out nicely as we get into the evening. That last bit of rain exiting, say, Fayetteville and Clinton around 6 or 7 p.m. We take a live look at Roxborough. You can see the flag here moving, but it's not very windy here. We have seen some rain come through Roxborough, you can see how the streets and the sidewalks are wet, and definitely the sky is gray. 70 degrees officially at the airport, but temperatures are in the 50s up here in Roxborough. We will climb on up into the mid-70s in the Triangle. We take a look at the wind. We're starting to see some warmth moving up through the southern part of the viewing area, and eventually it will make it on up into Roxborough, where temperatures should climb on up into at least the 60s as we get into the afternoon. This is a look at our current wind speeds and gusts. The gusts are on the right side, and notice how all those white boxes are empty. We're not seeing gusty winds right now, but winds are steady out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And meteorologist Amy Wilmoth checked our tall tower, which is at about 1,800 feet right after the plane crash, and the winds were gusting to 27 miles per hour. Not likely to be anything that would have affected that plane. Our wind gust forecast through the afternoon is only to around 15 and then to around 5 or 10 as we get into the evening. Checking our temperatures again, it's pretty chilly in Roxborough and South Hill. That warm air is pushing northward slowly, and we're looking at 70s in the rest of the viewing area. 74 in Raleigh and Durham for our high this afternoon, and 81 in Fayetteville. Durham Bulls have a homestand. The rain's going to be out of Durham before the game starts at 6:30, and then Thursday and Friday looking pretty. Looking at Thursday is Bark in the Park. That's a very popular event out at the DBAT. On Saturday, the weather looks nice for Boogaloo. It may be variably cloudy, but it'll be dry with temperatures in the 70s. And then 75, our normal high. We'll see 70s all the way up until early next week. On Tuesday, that high of 89 could put us very close to the record of 90 degrees. Once the rain moves out of here late this afternoon or evening, we are dry all the way into early next week.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks for that. We're getting these live pictures right now. Left side of your screen is Sky 5 video of the plane crash right there. A live look right now. And top right is the view from the premier parking at Terminal 1 across a secondary runway there into that grassy area where a fixed-wing single-engine plane crashed just after 10 o'clock this morning.
And the bottom right picture there, that is a live view at RDU Airport Authority. We are waiting that news conference as folks get ready to start that news conference. They're just doing some mic checks and some setup there as reporters wait for this news conference. We hope to learn more information about what caused the crash, but as you heard Elizabeth talk about, the weather conditions anyway was dry at the time, light breeze, but nothing that would necessarily impact a flight. And as we look live there, let's listen in to the RDU Airport Authority about this crash.
All right, good. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Landguth, President and CEO of Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority, and I'll go ahead and spell that. Last name is Landguth, Landguth. First, I want to extend my thoughts to those affected by this morning's aircraft accident and thank our first responders for their quick action to respond. The Airport Authority and its mutual aid partners responded to an aircraft accident at RDU involving a general aviation aircraft. The accident occurred at approximately 10:10 a.m. in the grass next to runway 5 right, 23 left. The flight was arriving from Wilmington, North Carolina. The aircraft is owned by Medical Air, Inc. and operated by UNC Air Operations. The aircraft had 2 people on board, 1 pilot and 1 passenger. Both were transported to area hospitals. The Federal Aviation Administration issued a ground stop that was lifted at approximately 11:30 this morning. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board have both been notified. The National Transportation Safety Board is en route and expected to arrive within the next hour, at which time they will conduct an accident investigation. RDU's runway 5 left, 23 right reopened to departing and arriving aircraft around 11:30 a.m. this morning. RDU is experiencing approximately 70 delays, and several arriving flights were diverted to other airports until ground stop was lifted. Travelers should contact their airline for the latest updates regarding the flight status. And of course, questions about the identity and condition of the pilot and passenger should be directed to UNC Health. And at this time, I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
I want to go back with WTP. Have you known of any other accidents in the past with UNC Air Health?
I'm not familiar with any other accidents that have occurred with that operation.
Preliminary, what made that?
I don't know. That's the role of the National Transportation Safety Board. They'll actually come in and do the investigation. And at some point in the future, they'll write up a report and determine what the cause of the accident was.
Do you know if anyone was alerted that there was a problem with the plane when it was incoming?
There was no notification to the airport authority or to the FAA about any type of emergency on board.
Do we have any idea of the extent of the injuries to the people on the aircraft?
We don't. All we know that we've got them out of the airplane and we've got them transported to local hospitals.
We know situations like this and delays have a ripple effect on flights. Do we have any idea what type of impact we'll see here at RDU and for how long it may last?
Not sure, but what we're going to encourage everybody to do is reach out to your airlines. They'll be able to give you real-time information about the impact of your particular flight.
Do you know where some of those flights were diverted to? Incoming flights?
I believe some of them went to Greensboro, and I think a couple went to Charlotte as well.
Will any flights be impacted due to the NTSB investigation?
Say that one more time.
You said the NTSB is coming in.
Correct.
Will that impact flights at all in any way?
At this point in time, what we call the west side of our airport is now open. The investigation they'll conduct will all be on the east side. So at this point, we are anticipating normal operations, returning to normal operations from this point forward. I don't think that anything that they're doing regarding the investigation or where they would have to investigate would have any impact to the west side of the airport.
So the debris is off the airfield?
The
aircraft is off, what has been moved?
No, the aircraft is still on the airfield itself. It's on the east side of the field. So Terminal 1, that runway is the east side of the field. That's where the debris field actually sits. The west side of the field is open and operational and safe to operate.
Was there any communication between the pilot and aircraft control before that crash?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, one more question.
In operations for RDU throughout this event today, what was your main concern concerning the passengers that were in terminals and passengers already on the ground?
I think our primary focus when that accident occurred were the two people sitting in that aircraft. Our primary mission is to make sure we can get to them and try to rescue them and try to make sure that we can get them in a safe condition as fast as we possibly can. Secondarily is trying to figure out then how we recover and get our operations back up and running.
Considering the crashes on the east side of the airport, how does that affect what goes on in Terminal 1 at this point for the rest of the day?
Yeah, so great question. So the team has figured out a way to get all the aircraft that are going to operate at Terminal 1, your southwest of Delos. We've got a crossover taxiway that we can actually get them through. Our general aviation aircraft, we've got a crossover taxiway we can get them to. But the rest of the accident scene is actually kind of isolated and closed and locked off.
So it would be business as usual if you were someone that was flying out of Terminal 1, if you had a flight out of Terminal 1?
Yeah, if you're at Terminal 1 at this point in time, once they can get back on their schedule, it's going to be normal operations.
All right, thank you guys. If you have any other questions,
All right, thank you.
Early afternoon on our Wednesday, we give you these live pictures out at RDU International Airport. A small plane crashed just after 10 o'clock this morning. Two people in it, a pilot and a doctor from UNC, were injured. They've been taken to area hospitals right now. We're waiting for the NTSB to get there on the scene to investigate.
The RDU Airport Authority saying that there was no notification to RDU or FAA about any kind of emergency on board prior to this crash. 70 delays at RDU, no cancellation, and flights are trying to get back on track here as the west side of the airport opens. That's where Terminal 2 is. This plane crashed near Terminal 1.
Legislative short session starts today in downtown Raleigh. The main focus for the session will be to adjust the state's two-year budget. The state has $1.4 billion more than expected through part of next year. And WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live at the legislative building right now, where the governor has just finished sharing how he wants to spend that money. Destiny.
Jeff, the governor mainly wants to focus his money on education. It's all laid out in this booklet here that they gave us. He laid out an average of 8.5% increase in teacher pay, as well as a $2.5 billion bond for school construction. But none of this matters because he's a Democrat and the legislature is controlled by Republicans, which means they get to control the state's spending priorities. During the session, Republican lawmakers are expected to consider spending more money on Medicaid, as well as child care and scholarships for K through 12 students to go to private schools. Even if Cooper vetoes their proposals, those vetoes might not stand. Republicans have majorities that could override a veto from the governor. In other words, they could choose to ignore what the governor has laid out here today. So while Governor Cooper's suggestions might not hold much weight with Republicans, it does give us a better
We continue our team coverage of the small plane crash out at RDU International Airport.
Yeah, right at Terminal 1, there are some secondary runways there. Monica Casey has been on the scene since shortly after this happened, talking with some employees there, gathering some information. You've been moved around by authorities out there. What are you seeing now?
Yeah, Jeff, right now we're on top of the Premier parking garage, and you can take a look behind me. So you can still see the plane over there in the midfield. This looks pretty similar to what we've seen in about the last half hour. Not much change with the police presence out there. When we arrived on scene, we saw many more EMS and firefighting trucks. If you take a look a little further down the runway here by Terminal 1, you can see a smaller plane making its way over. The CEO of the airport authority called that a crossover taxiway that runs between these two terminals. So we have seen some smaller planes landing at Terminal 2's runway and making their way over to the Terminal 1 side to go park further down. He mentioned that this crash scene is pretty contained, so they're still able to have some people way down at the other end parking. Now, I spoke with employees here at RDU who were pretty shaken up by all of this. The man that I spoke with said, while he didn't hear or see this happen, he knew something was wrong when he saw all of the lights and sirens over here on the runway. It's been a difficult morning for people here as RDU tries to get back on track. At RDU, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
And hundreds of flights go in and out of RDU every day, and very unusual to see something like that. It certainly makes workers there pause for a moment.
No doubt.
A man charged with firing a weapon on the campus of Shaw University is expected to face a judge in about an hour. Police say Kamal Abdul-Rafi shot at another man near Shaw's International Building.
No one was hurt out of this. WRAL's Julian Grace is at the courthouse where Abdul-Rafi will hear the charges against him.
Well, that is correct, Jeff. He will be here in the courthouse facing a judge at 1:30. Now, he's facing a number of charges, and one of those charges include intent to kill. As you may recall, very frightening moments for students, staff, and anyone involved with Shaw University. Here is a charging picture of Abdul-Rafi. This was taken late last night, shortly after he was booked into the county jail. Now, Raleigh police say the shooting happened outside of a Shaw University's International Building. Detectives say Abdul-Rafi had a dispute with another man, a non-Shaw student. Now, at some point, he fired several shots, missing the man, but he was quickly arrested by officers who were nearby. Now, once arrested, 3 weapons were found on him and 2 in his car. Tonight, we're asking more questions on exactly why he was outside of the International Building and on Shaw University's campus yesterday. We're going to go inside for this court hearing. We'll have much more to talk about later tonight at 4, 5, and 6. Reporting in downtown Raleigh, Julian Grace.
All right, we know you're on top of that story. Julian, thank you.
And no doubt we know that this plane crash out at RDU International Airport is going to dominate our coverage today. But we have plenty of other news we want to talk about as well. This is a live look from our WRAL Tall Tower camera in southeastern Wake County. There you see a low deck of clouds right there as well. Elizabeth Gardner will be along with our forecast.
We've been staying on top of that plane crash out at RDU International. We also want to keep you up to date on the weather for the day ahead.
Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with those raindrops to our north.
We do have a little light rain that's falling in some places. I'm tracking this cold front that will gradually slide across our area as we get through the next few hours. It's likely to linger in our southern counties during the evening. It's been a very slow mover. We're starting to see the rain really along the I-85 corridor and then up to the northeast, up around Halifax and Northampton counties right now. We'll zoom in here on Durham. The rain is just to the north. You're going to start to see some showers there there. We're actually seeing rain reaching the ground there in Creedmoor and then up across parts of the northeast. Henderson, Warrenton, Roanoke Rapids, all seeing some rain right now. As a matter of fact, here's a live look at Warrenton, and the streets are wet here, and you can see the rain, but we are not talking about much. This is going to be just a very weak band of rain that comes moving across our area as we head through the afternoon. So less than 1/10 of an inch at best. So as we move it on ahead into the afternoon, you can see this band drifting southward. There's 2 o'clock, there's 4, 5 o'clock, still some lingering showers during the evening commute in our southern counties, but in the triangle, we should see things drying out for the evening commute. Again, not much rain, less than 1/10 of an inch for us across the viewing area. Checking out the 7-day forecast, we're looking at temperatures in the mid-70s this afternoon. Once we get past today, we are dry all the way through Tuesday. Temperatures very pleasant for the next several days with highs in the 70s, a little bit on the chilly side for us Friday morning at 47, but then we move into a much warmer pattern as we wrap up the weekend and head into early next week. 86 on Monday, 89 on Tuesday, and that puts us close to a record high.
Elizabeth, thank you. A pilot and doctor are being treated for injuries after a medical services plane operated by UNC Health crashed on landing at RDU International Airport. The single-engine Cicada plane crashed about 10:10 this morning on the secondary runway at RDU, close to Terminal 1. RDU officials say there was no notification that there had been a problem with the airplane before it landed.
This is a live look right there where that plane came to rest. NTSB investigators are expected to arrive about 30 minutes from now, and NBC News Daily will be coming up next on WRAL. You can get your local news updates in 30 minutes on this. Get breaking news updates on this situation and others anytime on the WRAL News app.
Our team will continue to cover the plane crash at 4.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.